What if I told you that relying on your natural sense of thirst to drink water is like waiting for your phone to hit 1% battery before you bother plugging it in?
Oh, that is such a good way to frame it.
Right, because by the time that low battery warning flashes, the processor is already throttling.
Yeah.
The screen is dimming and the whole system is under stress. You're already in low power mode and, the damage to the battery's lifespan is just quietly compounding.
It's a perfect way to visualize the problem, honestly, because we treat thirst as this proactive signal, right?
Exactly.
When in biological terms, it's actually a delayed reactive alarm. You're already behind.
And that kind of misunderstanding is exactly what we are tearing apart today. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
You know that feeling when you are like standing in the grocery store aisle, just staring at a wall of expensive, exotic superfood powders?
Oh, yeah, the overwhelming supplement aisle.
Right, and you just feel completely lost.
Right.
Because nutrition has somehow been marketed as this incredibly complicated math problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you need, like, some rare Amazonian berry just to optimize your life.
Well, the wellness industry kind of thrives on that exact feeling of inadequacy.
Yeah, they really do.
The messaging basically makes you believe that true vitality is always hidden behind one incredibly expensive, hard-to-pronounce ingredient.
That you just haven't bought yet.
Exactly.
Well, we are cutting through all of that noise today. We've brought together an absolute mountain of sources for you.
A really impressive stack, actually.
Yeah, we have top-tier medical and nutritional insights from Harvard Health, Mayo Clinic, UC Davis, UCSF, ZOE, Tufts University, nutrition facts.
And we also have something a bit more grounded, too.
Right. To ground it all in reality, we have frontline data from an emergency room doctor, Dr. Alex. So our mission today is not to hand you an impossible grocery list.
No, definitely not.
We are distilling these insights into a practical, everyday shortcut to longevity, mental sharpness, and vitality. Zero information overload.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I think we need to start with that battery analogy. The absolute unglamorous baseline of longevity that almost everyone, frankly, just ignores.
Hydration.
Yeah.
I mean, it lacks the marketing appeal of a brightly colored supplement pill,
It
right?
sure does.
But if you look at the real-world data from our ER doctor source, Dr. Alex, he sees the end-stage results of decades of bad habits.
Yeah.
He specifically focuses on something called GFR.
Glomerular filtration rate.
Right, that's the one.
Which sounds incredibly technical, but it's really just a metric for how well your kidneys are filtering your blood.
Exactly.
And his note in the sources was genuinely alarming. He said he routinely sees people just over the age of 40 with a lower than ideal GFR.
Which is wild.
Yeah, meaning their kidneys are already quietly failing.
Yeah, so think of the glomeruli in your kidneys as millions of microscopic, really delicate coffee filters.
Okay, coffee filters.
Your body has to push your entire blood supply through those filters constantly to remove toxins.
Right.
When you operate in a state of chronic, mild dehydration-like, waiting for that 1% battery warning, your blood actually becomes more viscous.
Oh, wow. So it thickens.
It thickens. So the kidneys have to literally squeeze harder to push that thicker blood through the filters.
Just to do their normal job.
Exactly. And over decades, that pressure damages the delicate lining of those filters.
Ouch.
You basically force the kidneys to work overtime to concentrate urine, just to maintain basic electrolyte balances. And the scary part is, once you lose that kidney function, the scarring is largely permanent.
That is terrifying.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is no coincidence that water forms the absolute foundational base of the Mediterranean diet pyramid.
Which is going to serve as our overarching blueprint today.
Right. Because without that baseline blood volume, your heart has to pump harder.
Your blood pressure goes up.
Yeah, and you trigger this whole cascade of metabolic strain.
But Dr. Alex's solution isn't to, lug around one of those massive gallon-sized jugs and aggressively chug water until you feel sick.
No, definitely don't do that, because that can actually disrupt your electrolyte balance even worse.
Okay, so what's his method?
His strategy is entirely behavioral. He ties water consumption to an existing physical habit.
Like what?
Well, for him, every single time he crosses the threshold into his kitchen, he drinks a glass of water.
Oh, that's smart.
By linking the habit to a specific location, he never reaches that 1% battery warning.
He's constantly topping it off.
Exactly.
Okay, so if consistent water intake ensures we have enough fluid volume running through the pipes, that naturally forces us to look at the pipes themselves.
Right. vascular health.
Yeah, because running water through a system is completely useless if the pipes are turning rigid and calcified.
Totally.
And I have to admit, when I first read the UC Datas data, I was actively looking for loopholes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it groups like 70% dark chocolate, beetroot, and kale together, saying they all do the exact same thing for your blood vessels.
I mean, you'd think a chocolate bar and a leaf of kale have literally nothing in common.
Nothing.
But on a molecular level, they both act as powerful vasodilators.
Okay, break that down for us.
So UC gave us highlights that beets contain really high levels of dietary nitrates,
Right.
while the dark chocolate is dense with specific plant compounds called flavonoids.
And what are flavonoids, practically speaking? Because we hear that buzzword everywhere now.
Yeah, it's a big buzzword.
Yeah.
Flavonoids are essentially chemical defense systems. Plants produce them to protect themselves from environmental stress,
Like what kind of stress?
like harsh sunlight or pests. And when we consume them, our bodies metabolize those compounds, and they trigger the production of a signaling molecule called nitric oxide.
Okay, this is the mechanism Dr. Alex stressed too.
Yes.
Nitric oxide essentially sends a chemical text message to your blood vessels, commanding them to relax and widen out.
That's a great analogy.
It's like taking a congested two-lane road and instantly opening it up into a multi-lane highway so the traffic can just flow without friction.
And that reduction in friction is literally everything. By dilating the vessels, you preserve the endothelium.
The endothelium, that's the inner lining, right?
It's this microscopic single-cell inner lining of your arteries. If you protect the endothelium, you prevent the stiffening of the vascular walls.
Wow.
Because that stiffness is exactly what leads to hypertension, micro tears, and eventually, heart attacks or strokes decades later.
So it's all about keeping things flexible.
Exactly. And it's worth noting here that extra virgin olive oil performs this exact same vascular protection through its own unique polyphenols.
Okay, but hold on. I want to go back to my loophole.
I had a feeling you would.
If dark chocolate and coffee both have these protective compounds, my brain immediately goes, great, cardiovascular health is sorted.
Right.
Wait, so I can just eat a chocolate bar and drink coffee and call it heart health?
Well, here is the trap with that kind of thinking.
Figured there was a catch.
The biological dose determines whether something is medicine or poison. For the dark chocolate to be effective without causing metabolic harm, it requires high cocoa mass. We're talking 70% or more.
So not a milk chocolate candy bar.
Definitely not. And you only need about 10 to 20 grams daily. If you eat a massive sugary chocolate bar, the inflammation from the sugar completely overrides the benefit of the flavonoids.
Makes sense. And the coffee. Because the sources show coffee is associated with lower all-cause mortality and actually protects the liver.
It does. It absolutely does. But the timing of that coffee is where almost everyone makes a critical error.
Really? Timing matters that much?
Huge. Waking up and immediately pouring a cup of coffee blunts a biological mechanism called the cortisol awakening response.
The cortisol awakening response?
Yeah. When you wake up, your body naturally spikes cortisol to pull you out of sleep and make you alert.
So if I dump caffeine into my system while my body is already doing the work of waking me up naturally...
You basically step on your own biology. Your brain registers the caffeine and essentially says, oh, I don't need to produce this cortisol spike. The caffeine is doing the heavy lifting.
It gets lazy.
Exactly. And over time, you train your body to rely entirely on an external chemical just to reach baseline functionality.
So that's why people wake up feeling groggy and miserable until they have their coffee.
Precisely. To get the vascular and liver benefits without hijacking your sleep-wake cycle, you just need to delay that first cup for about an hour after waking.
Let the natural cortisol do its job, then bring in the coffee.
Right.
I love that. So we've got the highways open, the blood vessels are relaxed. What cargo are we actually sending down those highways to our brain and our cells?
Well, this is where it gets really fun.
Because the data from Nutrition Facts on antioxidants is staggering.
It really is.
Berries average roughly 10 times more antioxidants than other fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
and 50 times more than animal-based foods.
Which raises an important question, right? What does a high antioxidant count actually translate to in terms of human function?
Right, because numbers on a page are one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Harvard Nurses Health Study provides a really stunning answer to that.
Oh, the nurse study.
Yeah. They tracked 16,000 women over several years, monitoring their diets and running rigorous cognitive tests.
Yeah, what did they find?
They found that consuming just 1 serving of blueberries and 2 servings of strawberries a week delayed cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years.
Think about what 2.5 years of preserved cognitive function actually means in a human life.
It's massive.
That's 2.5 more years of independence, of recognizing your grandchildren, of being fully present, from eating a few handfuls of berries a week.
It's incredible.
How is that physically happening in the brain?
It comes down to a specific class of pigments called anthocyanins.
Anthocyanins.
Right, which are what give berries their deep red and purple colors.
Huh.
UC Davis also points out the presence of resveratrol, which is a compound grapevines produce when they're stressed.
Okay, so these compounds are in the fruit.
Yeah, and the remarkable attribute of these specific molecules is their size and structure. They're actually capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier.
Which is an incredibly exclusive security checkpoint.
Oh, very exclusive.
Like most things in the blood cannot get into the brain tissue.
Right, but these cross over, and once they're inside, they directly combat neuroinflammation and oxidative stress.
Which is essentially like the biological rusting of the brain, right?
That is a perfect description. Cellular rust.
Yeah.
As cells burn energy, they create exhaust-free radicals that damage surrounding tissue, and that causes the rust.
Makes sense.
The anthocyanins act as sacrificial shields. They absorb that damage so the brain cells don't have to.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Nutrition Facts highlights that beyond protecting the brain, these compounds act like a rapid response team for your immune system.
Yes.
Consuming berries can physically double the population of natural killer cells in your body.
Double.
Yeah. And these are the specialized white blood cells that actively patrol for and destroy virus-infected cells and microscopic cancer clusters.
And that cellular defense is further amplified by cruciferous vegetables.
Like broccoli.
Yeah. Mayo Clinic emphasizes that broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage contain a phytochemical called sulforaphane.
To sulforaphane.
When you chew these vegetables, you create a chemical reaction that activates the sulforaphane, which then signals your DNA to ramp up cellular detox pathways.
It talks to your DNA.
Literally. It's been shown to actively suppress tumor growth and even modulate pathways linked to depression.
But defending the cell is only half the battle, right? You can't just have security guards.
No.
You need the physical architecture of the being. And that brings us to the Tufts University data and Dr. Alex's focus on omega-3 fatty acids, specifically from walnuts, pecans, and salmon.
Right. You'll often hear the acronyms EPA and DHA thrown around when people discuss omega-3.
Yeah, constantly.
These are specific types of long-chain fatty acids, and they aren't just burned for energy. They are actual physical building blocks.
How so? Because I think when people hear the word fat, they just picture stored energy around their waistline.
Sure, that's the common perception. But think about the physical membrane that encases every single cell in your body, especially your brain and heart cells.
Okay, the cell wall.
If you build that membrane out of stiff, saturated fats, the cell becomes rigid. Nutrients struggle to get in, and cellular waste struggles to get out.
It's like a brick wall.
Exactly. But EPA and DHA are highly fluid fats. They literally stay liquid at room temperature.
Oh, interesting.
So when your body incorporates them into the cell membranes, the membranes become squishy, flexible, and highly permeable.
Making it easier for the brain cells to fire electrical signals back and forth.
Exactly. Fluidity equals processing speed and reduced cellular inflammation.
But here is the massive catch to everything we've just talked about.
The bottleneck.
Yeah. Sending berries and high-quality fats down the highway is completely useless if they hit a dead end in your digestive tract.
Totally useless.
If your gut is a wasteland, you cannot extract those complex molecules. So we have to dive into the microbiome and metabolic stability.
We have to.
The ZOE source on fermented foods challenged a huge assumption I had. I always thought, grabbing a standard fruit on the bottom yogurt at the store was a big win for my gut.
A lot of people think that. But what's fascinating here is the sheer difference in scale.
Yeah.
A standard commercial yogurt might have like 2 or 3 transient strains of bacteria that just pass through your system.
Okay.
But a traditional fermented food like kefir uses a starter culture called kefir grains.
Kefir grains.
Right. And this isn't just bacteria. It is a complex symbiotic matrix of dozens of bacterial strains and beneficial yeasts.
So it's not just dropping off a few tourists in your gut.
No.
It's establishing a permanent, diverse ecosystem. And ZOE's golden rule for this ecosystem isn't volume, it's variety.
Variety's key.
You don't need to eat a massive jar of sauerkraut on a Sunday. You need small exposures to many different things daily.
Because different microbes perform different jobs.
Right.
You want a little kombucha for one strain, maybe miso paste in a soup for another, some aged cheddar for a third.
Yeah, UC Davis even provided a brilliant culinary suggestion: making your own chipotle pickled carrots to get those live cultures while adding a massive flavor punch to meals.
Such a good idea.
But hold on, I need to stop you there because we need to talk about sourdough.
Oh, the sourdough debate.
Yeah, Dr. Alex specifically recommends combining foods to slow down digestion, like putting cottage cheese on seeded sourdough bread.
Yes, he does.
But I see sourdough pushed all over social media as this miracle gut food, and at the end of the day, bread.
I mean, it is bread.
You bake it at 450 degrees, you are incinerating whatever probiotics were living in that dough. How is a slice of dead yeast doing my gut any good?
That's the logical conclusion most people jump to, honestly. And you're absolutely right that the heat sterilizes the loaf, the bugs are dead.
Right.
But you have to look at what the fermentation process did before the dough ever went into the oven.
Okay.
First, grains contain something called phytic acid, which is essentially a plant defense mechanism that binds to minerals like iron and zinc, locking them up so your body can't absorb them.
Ah, an anti-nutrient.
Correct. The long fermentation of the sourdough starter breaks down that phytic acid, unlocking the minerals.
So it does the work for you.
It also pre-digests the gluten, making it far less inflammatory. But to your point about the dead bacteria, even though the heat kills them, it leaves behind their structural remnants, their cellular skeletons, if you will.
Bacterial ghost towns.
Yes. And those remnants are powerful prebiotics.
Oh, prebiotics.
They act as a highly specialized premium fertilizer that feeds the living beneficial bacteria already residing in your gut.
Wow.
So you aren't eating live bugs, you are eating the perfect fuel for your existing bugs.
That makes so much sense. Which brings us to how we actually manage our daily energy. Because we've all experienced that brutal 2 p.m. crash where you just want to sleep under your desk.
Everyone knows that crash. And that crash is entirely dictated by the speed at which your stomach empties glucose into your bloodstream.
The spikes.
Yeah. When Dr. Alex suggests putting cottage cheese, which is heavily protein-dense on that sourdough bread, or pairing your berries with yogurt and seeds, he's utilizing physics.
Physics.
Protein and fats physically slow gastric emptying. The glucose trickles into the blood instead of flooding it, preventing the massive insulin spike and subsequent crash.
This is also where legumes step into the spotlight, right? Beans, lentils, chickpeas.
Huge fans of legumes.
The Harvard research on this is so actionable. Eating just 1 daily cup of legumes drops LDL, the dangerous cholesterol, by 8 points.
That's significant.
And it lowers systemic blood pressure. UCSF echoes this, showing that just 25 grams of soy protein daily actively drives down cholesterol.
The mechanism there is incredibly elegant, really. Legumes are loaded with viscous soluble fiber.
Viscous soluble fiber.
Yeah, and when this fiber mixes with water in your digestive tract, it forms a thick gel.
Like a sponge.
A very sticky sponge. It not only physically blocks the rapid absorption of sugars, but it actually binds to bile acids and cholesterol molecules circulating in the small intestine.
Wow. It just traps them.
It traps them in the gel and carries them completely out of your body as waste before they could be reabsorbed into your blood.
That's amazing. Which naturally leads us to a harsh reality check. And the final piece of the puzzle, what we absolutely have to avoid.
The bad news.
Because the truth is, we have finite space in our stomachs. You can't just add all these great things on top of a terrible diet.
Which is why Dr. Alex quietly warns about the most pervasive, silent villain in modern grocery stores.
Soft, sliced, ultra-processed white bread.
Yes.
I love his analogy for this. He describes ultra-processed white bread as a bad roommate.
A bad roommate because it contributes nothing to the household.
Worse. It's not just that the white bread is stripped of its fiber and causes immediate insulin spikes. Its biggest biological crime is the opportunity cost. It crowds out the good stuff. If you fill your stomach with 2 slices of fluffy, nutritionally bankrupt bread every morning, you literally do not have the physical capacity left to eat your eggs, your seeds, or your spinach.
You're just full.
Right. The bad roommate pays 0 rent, makes a mess of your insulin, and kicks out the nutrients that are actually trying to repair your cells.
That concept of opportunity cost is brilliant. And to fix that, we return to our baseline operating manual, the Mediterranean diet pyramid.
The blueprint.
It structurally solves the bad roommate problem.
Yeah.
The base of every single meal, the majority of the volume on your plate, must be vegetables, whole grains, beans, and extra virgin olive oil.
Then you bring in the omega-3s with fish twice a week.
Yep.
You incorporate moderate amounts of poultry, dairy, and eggs. And yes, for those waiting for it, moderate red wine is on the pyramid.
Yes.
1 glass a day for women, 2 for men.
Though always with meals, never on an empty stomach. And at the absolute narrow top of the pyramid, treated as rare occurrences, are red meats and sugary sweets.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? How do you actually translate this massive stack of research into your kitchen today?
It's practical.
Right. Tufts and Harvard provided some incredibly practical, painless swaps. The next time you make a sandwich, ditch the mayonnaise and use hummus.
So easy.
Chef Ronnie Polak from The Sources has a dead simple tip. Just blend chickpeas, tahini, cumin, and lemon.
And instead of tossing highly processed croutons onto a salad for crunch, use a handful of lightly roasted nuts to get those healthy fats.
Yum.
Swap out the refined flour pretzels in the afternoon for almonds.
And a personal favorite from UC Davis, especially for anyone who exercises, you don't always need an engineered $40 tub of protein powder.
Please no.
They highlight that plain peanut butter and chocolate milk are fantastic, biologically legitimate recovery foods after a hard workout.
I love that one. They deliver the exact ratio of fast-absorbing carbohydrates and proteins the muscles need to replenish glycogen and repair tissue.
I love that we can walk away from this deep dive not feeling restricted by some miserable diet, but armed with better, more delicious options.
Exactly.
So let's do a rapid recap of the journey. Hydrate proactively to protect your kidney filters.
Defend your vascular highways with targeted flavonoids from dark chocolate and polyphenols from olive oil.
Give your brain cells structural flexibility with omega-3s and shield them from rust with berry anthocyanins.
And finally, stabilize your metabolic engine with diverse fermented foods and cholesterol-trapping legumes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at all these sources together, a profound paradigm shift happens.
How do you mean?
Well, society teaches us to view aging as an inevitable passive ticking clock, like a slow decline that we just have to endure.
Right, just getting old.
But the biology tells a different story entirely. Aging is actually a continuous, highly dynamic conversation between your environment and your cellular machinery.
That is so powerful. Food isn't just fuel to burn for energy. It is molecular information. It is code.
Yes.
With every single bite you take, you are writing instructions. So the question for you to mull over today is simple. What instructions are you writing for your cells today? Are you sending in the elite rapid response team, or are you letting the bad roommate sign a long-term lease?
Great question.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious, and remember to plug in that charger before your battery hits 1%.